Greetings to all of you. I am Dr. Midget, and I'm honored to be at James Front Community College on today. It's a pleasure to be before you and to speak on behalf of those that are first-time college students and moving forward. One of the things that I like to do is say that whenever you're talking about college becomes like a big, gigantic focal point for a lot of people, because sometimes people feel like they can't cross that mountain or they can only do just but a little bit. So I write poetry, and I like to incorporate the arts into things that I like to do. Is that okay? How many people like poetry? So I take from my previous leaders, Martin Luther King and others that have gone before me to lay this foundation, and so I'm going to do my vision from God, but it's what it is going to incorporate it into education. So I'm going to say, I can hear the words of Dr. Martin Luther King saying, looking back over thoughts, dreams I once knew, wondering if my dreams would ever come true. Then the Lord knocked on my door and said that I have come for you. Roses said, I don't believe it is actually you. He said, do not be confused. I've chosen you to be used. Oh people, it was but a dream, and I didn't have one clue until he filled my soul with the Holy Ghost next. Now do you need more proof? As I looked at his piercing eyes and he gazed back at mine, Martin Luther King said, oh my God, Lord, you stepped in right on time. He said, my man of God, take the good news and spread it across the land. Make sure that your light so shine that men know who I am. Rosa said, Lord, 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 is all that I can say. But we promise to do your will and encourage others to obey our vision from God. So I take those, I wrote that poem based upon my dreams and visions. I was at about 18 years old. And I come from a line of educators. My parents are both graduated from North Carolina Central University, and my mother taught school. My father was a city planning director. They're both retired now. Grandmother was a retired school teacher, grandfather minister, so I just come from a line of educators in my family. I graduated from UNCW with my Bachelor of Arts in Communications, and then I recently graduated with my Master's of Arts in Teaching last December 2017. One of the things I like to share in moving forward as far as going to college, being a first timer, you have to start off with a vision. Everything starts with a vision, everything starts with a seed. So this right here, this picture down below, is a near fatal accident that I was in. Hit by a drunk driver, encountered lacerated liver, crushed pancreas, walked on a walker. I had just graduated from UNCW May of '96 and got hit October 31st, 1996. So I was actually in a classroom for 3 months before I got hit. And but in the midst of that, I always believe that whatever it is that I do, no matter what I encounter from tragedy to triumph, I'm still going to soar. I'm still going to stay focused. And although I was very ill at that time, I still had that faith. You know what it is when you know that you have something to do in life, no matter what comes your way, that you're going to supersede it. And so every day I walked on the walker or had to go through, I was in a coma. So being in the coma, I didn't even know that I was in a coma. So you don't know that you're in a coma until you come out of one. And when I came out of the coma, they were asking me what my name was, what my phone number was, and I was able to give it to them. And I kept hearing in the whispers in ICU of miracle, miracle, because they said most people do not come out of a coma and in their right faculties. And so that's why I have on the poster a miracle, right in the center, a miracle, because that's what I kept hearing in ICU. And I came out of there, I don't really know, I've heard different times as far as the span of comatose state that I was in, but when I came out of it, my mind was still made up. I still have work to do. And so I'm a believer that whatever you start in life, I knew that one day I went to school to be a news anchor, so my degree is in communications. So I was like striving to be, that Barbara Walters and and really, really do communications and take it as beyond local, you know, as far as I could go. And that never happened. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not right, because I have too much experience. I even met Oprah, actually. I met Oprah in Raleigh, in North Carolina, in 1988 for her weight loss program. So me and my mother, my sister went to it, to the Coliseum where she was. And then she became an inspiration. And I was like, well, all the roads are leading in the right direction, but now I have this accident in front of me. Now what do I do? And then my thoughts were, you still have your brain intact. You can still do it. So as much as I was applying for to be a news anchor locally, I ended up one morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up to my computer and I started typing up a proposal. And I didn't know it was a proposal, but I started typing. And then when I started looking at it and realizing what it was, then I was like, wow, this is like a proposal. And so I took it to Fox Television, and what I was typing was about doing a show that featured people in their gifts, their talents, their miracles, and their testimonies. So instead of me being that news anchor, I ended up launching my own talk show. And so the vice president, Jeff Stewart at Fox Television, he met with me in his office, and Jack Van Impe was going to other places, and so that primetime slot came open, and so he put me in there. So it was Martha Stewart, myself, Kenneth Copeland, and Creflo Dollar. And so I had a primetime spot reaching 200,000 viewers every Sunday. I was on the air for 10 years. And so the show featured, you know, people like myself and others that came through tragedies in life but overcame their battles, obstacles, and still made the best of their lives. So that was called The Call with Ushonda. With doing that, met a lot of people. I actually went national with the show. The Word Network picked my show up and aired it about 15 times, and then they won all this money after doing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm still going to have to keep pressing. So after I did that, then I actually launched a program that you see before you. It's entitled Keeping Kids Safe in School. Now, let me add to my professional side, I'm also a musical artist. So I grew up on the stage at 3 years old doing drama, dance, poetry, very much into the arts. My parents were very artistic. My father used to do the creation. My mother does sign language, so I come from a very, you know, creative, talented family. And so when I heard about the Sandy Hook school shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, I was actually on my way to minister and dance at a church in Fayetteville, and I wrote down this song called Keeping Kids Safe on a piece of bubblegum paper. And I took that piece of bubblegum paper and transcribed it onto a larger piece of paper, and then the paper kept increasing until it became an entire album. And so this album, I teach dance to inner city youth. So in the early 1990s, I started birthing dance troupe for low-income children who were disadvantaged and didn't have money to take dance classes. And so these are some of the children. You can pass that around. Those are some of the children that I work with. And so it's about kids' safety. And I'm an advocate against guns, violence, and bullying. And we travel extensively, and I speak and develop programs into schools as well. And I always believe that whatever you do, you have to have a vision. Everybody say a vision. Vision. Because even though you become an educator or a professional, what do you do when, what do you say to yourself after you feel like you've exceeded or gone as far as you can go? You have to be creative and be inventive. Can anybody relate to that? You have to reinvent yourself. You have to, because you can find 1 million people that does communications, but what makes you different? You can find 1 million people that teach, but what makes your class different? What makes you different? And so on the back of this is my visionary board. And so I do a visionary board because with anything that you do in life, if you can't see yourself doing it, it can be impossible to even get there. So I created a visionary board that says the leaders, run, be your own boss. What is your passion? Now make it your business. Stake your claim. Take the next step towards success now. Change agent, here you go. Things that are inspirational, things that should inspire you. So I didn't just stop and say, oh, well, I didn't make it in because all the people that's still on television are still there in their same spot. And I didn't let that get the best of me. So what I decided to do was make the best of it. And I just took my talents and created this song, Keeping Kids Safe, and as a result today we have been featured on Living Local. We're on the front page of the Living Local newspaper, and several newspapers and magazines, focusing, bringing the youth together and making a change. Right now, it's a lot of children, it's a lot of youth that may be lacking in role models, and we the few that are leaders, they are looking up to us. So I say that to say, I want to share the song with you, and just so you can get a little taste of what it is.
With all the chaos in the world, with Columbine and Sandy Hook, I dedicate this song to the children, keeping kids safe.
Keeping kids safe in a better place with my loving shield. Thou shalt not kill. When I lift my hands, give me another chance to live my dreams and build my self-esteem. I want to change the world, every boy and girl, so just let me live so that I can give and share myself with this world. Everybody say, share myself with this world. I want to go to school, no fighting, no violence, cause that's not cool. I want to laugh and play, pray for a brighter day. I want to sing my song, so just hold on, so I can share myself with this world. Every boy and girl, share myself with this world. Do a little clap for me. Each and every day, I'm afraid to awake. Don't know if it's gonna be my last day. So I pray and pray as I walk along the way. And every kid in the world will be kept safe. When will this end? I just want to send this message out today. Oh, whoa, whoa, keeping kids safe in a better place with my loving shield. Thou shalt not kill. When I lift my hands, give me another chance to live my dreams and build my self-esteem. I want to change the world, every boy and girl, so just let me live so that I can give and share myself with this world. Everybody say, share myself with this world. Every boy and girl, share myself with this world. Oh, 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 I want to share myself with this world. Clap with me. Our children, protect our children. If I had the kids, they'll give a circle. Protect our children. So one thing that I like to say is that always have, everybody may not be business minded, but always seek within your profession to have something extra, some type of business, some type of service. One thing that I think is always influential is when you have a service. When you can provide a service, it provides you the greater means of what you're searching for. Sometimes people may do different businesses. I mean, one thing you say, a mechanic is always going to be in business because somebody's car is going to need some services. Or You may say, well, teachers are always needed. But see, now we're dealing with the issues of, is there enough money to pay teachers? Teachers don't want to do work. Do they want to do it because it's an issue with this? But if you have a passion for what you do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because in addition to me being a licensed certified school teacher, I'm licensed K through 6 a school teacher, and I don't limit myself just to the fact that, oh, well, that's a certain income. I mean, the thing that you have to do is, if you focus on your passion, you'll be a happy person. If you focus on your passion, then you make the best of it. It doesn't make the best of you. If that makes sense. You make the best of it. So you have multiple streams of things that you do. And not only am I that, so let me tell you the story behind this CD. The story behind this and this message is that I was actually calling a station called Rejoice Musical Soul Food to get airtime. And I was just calling, I was saying, you know, just to kind of figure out how much airtime it would take or what was available to be able to get the album playing. So the guy on the other end said, it sounds like you have done radio or television. Do you do radio or television? I'm thinking, yes. And he said, I have a proposition for you. And I'm thinking, this is a stranger on the other end. I'm only calling for airtime. And he said, I said, well, what is the proposition? And he said, I do a segment called the After School Roll Call. And I haven't really been able to get it on the ground, off the ground the way I really want to, but you have the voice that I'm looking for. And so I went from going to get airtime to him saying, pray about it, me getting back with him after a couple of days, and then I became a national radio personality overnight. So I've been on nationally Rejoice Musical Soul Food. I do a segment called The After School Roll Call, and that has been going on since 2013, August of 2013 to present. And so with my show, you can download our app as well and listen to it every Wednesday at 6:50. I come on the air every Wednesday at 6:50. Download the Rejoice Musical Soul Food app, and I have adults, different people to come on, and I'm covering issues in what's happening in our with our children with academia as far as testing is concerned, tips to be able to keep them encouraged. Things that parental tips. So it's a very, very informative show. We're on in 47 states, and so I'm grateful for that. I want to pass this around because just sometimes we just pass it through. Sometimes you just need some encouragement. Sometimes you have to do things to encourage yourself. That's a book, just one of the books, and I'm going to pass another one around. And I'll take it from that end. And sometimes you just want to put what you've done into action. You say, wait a minute, I've accomplished this in my life. Well, I graduated from college, then what did I do? Okay, I graduated from college, well, no doors are coming open right now. So what do? Do something. Do something. Because when I was in the midst of trying to be that news anchor, I ended up getting a job as a supervisor at Cape Fear Community College, assisting people with short-term training, youth and adults. I was over a youth life enhancement program and adult liftoff, and providing short-term training for youth and adults. Had nothing to do with communications, nothing. But I didn't say, I didn't turn the job down. I said, well, it looks like I'm going to be helping youth and adults find jobs with computer training, dental assisting, truck driving. So now I'm now this person that is right out of college. Now I'm this person making sure that the truck driving classroom is all filled up with truck drivers. And then I'm running over here recruiting for the CNA classes. And now the CNAs have their classes filled. And now the dental assisting had nothing to do with communications. And I was saying, now, my paycheck was nice, but I'm not doing anything in my field. How many people have been there? Just give me a, yeah. If you've been there, you know what it's like. And so, although my bills are paid, and although I was not in any financial burden, I was thinking, okay, well, I can't stop there. I'll just take what I'm learning and deposit it in this brain here, compartmentalize it, and use it because it's going to be useful for something in the future. So anything that you do is going to be something useful in the future. And so I stopped, after the funding for that ended, I went back to teaching again because now I'm healed up and whatever, and so I started to work with autistic children in a classroom, and then I deviated from there. Well, once that was ended, then I went into the field of mental health, where I stayed in that field for like 13 years as a qualified professional, a counselor, working on everything. Once again, I'm still not that news reporter. Still didn't. So but watch this. The resume kept getting greater and greater. The job opportunities were better, and I'm saying, wow. And so so when I was in school getting my undergraduate, I was the education coordinator for the Community Boys and Girls Club, just having a little part-time job. But what I was doing was working with the children with SAT testing, CAT testing. Working on that. Now what am I doing today with my own organization? Watch this. What am I doing now? Everything that I did for Cape Fear Community College. Everything I did for the Community Boys and Girls Club. Working with the children. Doing the testing. Making sure they pass these standardized exams, the EOGs. I did all of that from the 90s into the mid 2000s, and now I do all that for my own organization. So it was not a waste of time. It was not a waste. I kept thinking when I kept coming up with things, and as the doors continue to open for my organization. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting on tomorrow for incorporating my program at one of the rec developments. So I'll be at an residential organization meeting tomorrow night. The funny part about it is that you never know where you're going to end up. So never just say, well, I'm not going to do this because it's not my field. And I've had colleagues of mine, and I'm saying, why aren't you doing something? Because unless I find something in my field, you might not find something in your field. You may be the creator of your field. So the visionary. So I'm just saying to you, don't just not do anything. Be steady at what you do. Focus on what you need to do. If the door is not open, work somewhere, because it's all going to work for your good. It's all going to work for your good. You couldn't have told me after coming out of this accident that looked like it was called, they said I was in, this was aired on actually television, I didn't even know it, but my whole accident was on TV or whatever, and they were saying, wow, and people were coming by like, is she still alive? Yeah, I'm still alive. My bedroom, my hospital room, like a funeral home. There was so many flowers, and I'm thinking, I need some flowers. As much as I love flowers, it was too many, and people thought I guess I wasn't going to make it, but I'm still here today, and I've made it. I'm still standing, and I have, and God has really opened up a lot of doors for me, and I'm so grateful. But the key thing that I would like to say to all of you is, no matter, I went from tragedy to triumph. I'm going to show you this. This is my book called Coming Out, What the World Needs Now. And by this summer it will be released. And it talks about some of the tragedies, the triumphs, and how you have to obtain faith, wisdom, resilience, empowerment, belief, discipline, humbleness. So all the things that I feel like I've been through up until this point in my life is all going to be in this book, to be able to help people, be able to give them some insight and inspiration. So in closing, I want to say, be the visionary. Be the person that's determined to fight against all odds. Be the person that says, whether I'm making $2 or $200,000 a year, I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to make a difference. If I can't open the door, then I'm going to set up my network of people. Make sure that your network are people that are smarter than you are. I try to set myself with my network of people that know a little, because I don't know everything, but there are people that my network, they know more than I do in this, maybe that, and maybe that, and they become people of my network, my staff. Because if you get people that knows everything, that if you know everything, then how can you benefit, how can you enhance? So it's good to partner with people that can help you to advance in whatever you're doing in your education, in your dreams, your visions, and your businesses. This is all that I have for today, and I am so grateful and thankful that you have given me the opportunity to come before you at James Front Community College. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
Come.
Come on in. Come on in. Any questions anybody want to ask?
No, no. I have something for Dr. Midget.
Yes.
That room.
This is my doctoral robe. I've been pastoring for 17 years, and I became ordained in 2000, and so I have a doctorate in divinity. But I have a bachelor's from UNCW in communications and a master's of arts and teaching from UNCW. And then, so I've been in both schools. I've been in UNCW and I've been in seminary, so. Yeah, so I tell you, I have, because my grandfather actually, my first speaking engagement was 12 years old. And my grandfather, he was the Southeastern District moderator for the Baptist Association. So all these churches were under him. There was a big old conference. And I thought I was just supposed to do a little kiddie thing, like, you know, do a little scripture or something. He was like, no, you're going to be the speaker. And I'm saying the speaker, and I'm like 12 and I'm freaked out. And my grandmother was like, well, you can do it and you're going to do it. And she was bossy. So I had to do it. So he actually opened up my first door. And then at 30, no woman has ever preached at the Institute. So I was the first female speaker in January of 2000.
Wow.
And he said, I may not live to see you preach in Baptist church, but I know that God has called you. And sure enough, that he died after he went to my graduation in 1996 at UNCW, and he passed in 96 as well. So.
Wonderful. Any more questions?
I just have a comment to add to what he said. There's a book called The New Science of Life. It just talks about everything that we do. Sometimes we don't know, but everything is connected.
Yes.
Like you just said, like you are talking about all the learning you do, all those things linked to something else.
Absolutely.
So everything basically we're doing is connected to nature and all those things. For example, like the bees, they pollinate our food and all those things. So we are so, it's a small world, but you don't know unless you do the research into it. So we are so connected that we cannot live and without those insects. And sometimes there's a book written by Richard Carlson. It's called Silent Spring. She wrote that book around the 60s. And it has shown that if all human beings are out of the universe today, the universe will flourish. But if you take all the bees, all these insects out of the whole universe,
Yes.
then there is no life going to exist.
Absolutely.
So it just shows how we are so connected and we are so linked to each other. So just addition to what you are saying, that you always have to learn every day something new.
Yes.
And it's always good to be in your midst. Me, you, and Dr. Raz had a talk with students in one college. So I remember you from that. So
Yes, and I thank you. I enjoyed going to that panel
yeah,
with you.
it's always a pleasure to be around you. So it's
Thank you.
constant learning.
Yeah.
You know, and when you learn more, you can able to predict certain trends. You change your life. You can foresee things that are coming, like you talk in the future. So once you open your horizon, you broaden your horizon, I think it's helped a lot, especially when we have students.
Yes.
They have to think about the future and try to see how best they can help in their communities, because people need them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the communities you go in, you see people, they don't even have water, pure water to drink.
Yes.
And sometimes we take those things for granted, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, seize the moment.
Yeah.
Seize the
But
moment.
so thank you so much for coming out.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you coming. We cannot repay you for
Yeah,
such a wonderful
yeah.
workshop.
Oh, that's
but we have a few
great.
goodies for you that might help
Awesome.
y'all a little
And you
bit.
got pink. What's the right?
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we hope you come back again.
I would love to. I would love to. Thank you.
That's good,
so
huh?
much.
Anything we can do for you, please let us know.
Okay. Definitely.
So please fill out your evaluations.
Yes.
Melvin, thank you so much.
Oh, by the way, this right here is a senior Sankofa Award. This was for African American students that from UNCW that was able to carry a 3 point, I think it was 3.5 and above average. I had a 4.0. And so we received these medallions in December. So, and you know what, I didn't even know that was even on the list. I was like, they were like, you need to report here, and then I was like, oh my goodness, another. I was like, if you want to get some pictures? Okay.
Before we take the picture, if you could, make sure you have,
The
signed in
evaluation.
so you get credit for coming. And thank you for coming, I appreciate you, the ones, especially the ones that I asked to come.
Thank
And can you make sure you fill out the evaluation?
You just come in and sign in.
Name of workshop presenter is Ushonda Midget, if you don't have it already written on your form, and workshop title, mentoring workshop. And please put the date in for me and get those back to us. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Like 2 or 3 students to come, I'm sorry.
One of the quick things, we have a financial literacy workshop this Thursday, 9 to 9:30, so it'll be in this room as well, and someone from Four Oaks Banks is coming.
Went off again.
You ready to get there?
I'm still, you want me to shut it down? Okay, let me shut it. It's it.
Yeah, yes.